Yeah, another review video. This time it's of the Revell 1/48 scale F-101 Voodoo. So let's get into it. Much like some of the more recent Revell boxings, they include this to help support the box, which is kind of nice, but it does make getting parts out a little more difficult. Here we have some of the main wings and various gear doors. Looking here, you can see a lot of the detail is molded in, which is kind of nice and does help you produce a good kit out of the box without having to buy aftermarket parts. Here we can see the inside of the flaps and again the gear doors and splitters. There is a little flash here on the inside of the exhaust nozzle, but that's minimal and is easily cleaned up. Okay, here we have the drop tanks. Again, a little bit more flashing around the nose of these parts. Here we have the cockpit, which has your basic switches and such molded in for the side panels, which is alright. I'm sure there's ways it could be a little more detailed, but that's kind of splitting hairs. Try to get this part out. Yep. Alright, here we have the underside of the wings. Again, a lot of raised detailing, which is unfortunate, but each their own. Here we have the compressor blade inlet. And one nice thing about this kit is it does include a full intake trunk, which you don't see as often as one might think. Here we have the seats. They do have molded in seat belts for those who prefer just to take kits. I do know some sink marks on the stabs, which is unfortunate, but sometimes, unfortunately, that's all they can do. Though they don't appear to be too deep and should be easily fixed. Alright, here we have nose and some of the armaments included. We also have one option for the various control panels. So I have a mounting point. Now, one thing, looking at the instructions, I'm not sure, but it looks like you can almost do both armament configurations. I'll discuss that when we take a look at the instructions. Here we have the two main fuselage halves, and with this kit, it goes together similar to how the Hasegawa family of Phantoms go together, in that you have two side halves, and then the wing section comes in underneath. Also included are two pilot figures, for those who want to do that. And lastly, we have our clear parts. Now, one interesting note is that you do include this other control panel. I'm truthfully at a loss for what it's used for, but it's included. Now, going into the instructions, assembly is fairly straightforward. The only sort of area I would say that would seem like it would cause issue is here in the landing gear bay, of just how they want you to put it together. As if anyone has built the Hasegawa Tomcat knows those gear bays can be a bit of a pain in the ass to do. But here, if you look here in the instruction manual, this is what I mean. As to look at how it goes in and attaches, it almost seems like it wants to give you the option to have it rotate, so as to show it in the different configurations, either with the Falcon missiles or the Genie missiles. Now, included kit are two different markings. Ironically enough, the first top marking, which in most cases has always been the box art, it's not. It's actually a different aircraft. Whereas the box art is actually the secondary, which is just one of those odd things you don't see. Just struck me really as odd. Anyway, moving on to decals. Decals are in good register. There's no yellowing or anything like that, and are actually printed fairly recently based on copyright of 2007. It does include options to do the dials and decals, as well as the various markings and stencils. Decals, I've built the F-106, which had a similar sheet of decals, and they're fairly thick, so you're going to want to definitely use a fair amount of decal setter. Now, this kit is actually, given all the stuff with it, is actually a fairly decent kit, given the raised details on the like. Excuse me. And especially given the price, I think I paid around under $20 for it. It's you can't really complain. Now, and if you look at other Revell kits of similar nature, they just don't seem to have as much going for them in comparison. So definitely, this kit is definitely worth your money. And I do know there is a conversion set to do it from a 101B, which this one is, to I believe a 101A and 101C. But there you have it. That has been Revell's F-101 Voodoo. So till next time.